So I answered the phone and said, Happy Christmas Eve. And they said, we have a little problem. The sprinkler system seems to be going out in one of the apartments. I got another call that said, we have a bigger problem. The water is now all over and one of the ceilings has fallen through.
As soon as I opened the door, just water was spraying on top of me. Water everywhere.
It was a matter of where the individual's gonna go.
A snowy Christmas Eve in Columbus turned into an urgent situation that saw quick action, compassion, sacrifice, and neighbors helping neighbors. The full story is ahead. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Open Door Podcast. My name is Andrew Stinson. Before we start, a little background on our organization. Open Door is a nonprofit provider for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities in Central Ohio. We support over 600 individuals, both with direct care in their homes and through a variety of adult day service programs like Career Activity and Community, Open Door Art Studio and Gallery, and Open Door Stage and Screen. We're able to provide this care due to our team of direct support professionals, or DSPs for short. These staff members not only provide direct care, but they help individuals achieve their goals, whatever they might be. Now, some of the folks we support live at Park West Court Apartments, located on the west side of Columbus, right across from Open Door's corporate offices. With around-the-clock staffing, including nursing, an intermediate care facility like Park West is an ideal place to call home for individuals with more complex medical and behavioral needs. Above all else, our mission is to inspire life journeys, and our vision is to cultivate valued roles for all people. This is reflected in everything we do. It's who we are. But as is often the case, things don't always go quite the way we'd like them to. And in order to carry out our mission, it sometimes requires us to step up in difficult situations. Bob Dylan once said, "You don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows." Well, on Christmas Eve 2022, no one needed a weatherman to know it was a good day to stay inside. Wind chills below zero, winds 20 miles an hour, and snow falling quickly. Bengali Sela is one of our DSPs who happened to be working at Park West that night. Sitting on the couch, all of a sudden, he heard a noise that wasn't normal. He asked around to other staff working there. They didn't hear anything, but he wanted to investigate. He checked the kitchen, nothing. The bathroom, nothing. Maybe he was just hearing things. Then he checked Bert's bedroom, and that's when he saw the problem. He quickly made some calls to get support, and soon word reached Becky Sharp, Open Door's executive director.
It's about 9 o'clock on Christmas Eve, and just like other families, I was at home sitting there getting prepared, wrapping presents and cooking for the family event for the next day. Looking forward to seeing my first grandson's Christmas. And the phone rang, and it was the incident hotline. So I answered the phone and said, Happy Christmas Eve. And they said, we have a little problem. The sprinkler system seems to be going out in one of the apartments. Maintenance is here, but water is starting to flow all over the floor. Mind you, we have 8 different apartments, and this was in one apartment at that time. So I'm like, okay, I'll be in. Maintenance staff arrived immediately. Same thing, they were preparing for their Christmas. In fact, they hadn't even wrapped their children's presents, so I felt very guilty with them being there. The second call I received was because I could barely get off of my street because of the snowstorm and the ice. So we had to de-ice some stuff in order for me to get there. And as I'm driving down my road about 2 miles an hour because of the wind chill and the snow blowing, I got another call that said, we have a bigger problem. The water is now all over and one of the ceilings has fallen through in the apartment.
Becky's first question was, is everybody okay? The response was yes. The guys weren't in the area where the leak was happening. They were in the living room watching TV. But it was still a jarring situation for Bengali.
The guys were very good, no incident, nothing.
How about you? How were you feeling? Were you freaking out?
Oh, I was very, very afraid. Yeah, I said, what? I never saw something like that in my life.
Tony Njunje is the operations director, and he too is getting ready for a holiday celebration when his evening changed.
I was at home. It was Christmas Eve. We're expecting more family to come over from Bowling Green, and we didn't think they would make it because of the storm that had just happened. Then I got the call that we had the sprinklers for starters burst, and I didn't think it was a big deal. I thought it was just a simple sprinkler leaking. It was gonna be an easy fix. And then when Matt got here, he realized just how bad the damage was, that the ceiling had actually caved in, the pipes had busted.
Our maintenance staff arrived, including supervisor Matt DeLay.
As soon as I opened the door, just water was spraying on top of me. Water everywhere. It was freezing, so it was so cold, so all the water, it took me 30 minutes just to bust the ice to get the front door open. Because it just, as it was coming out, it was freezing up the front door because it was actually leaking through the porch. It was midnight or something. We all left because I still had my kids' Christmas presents in the back, some of them in the back of my truck. So I got home and I got laid down. It was 3 in the morning. I literally laid down and I was pulling my covers up, and then the phone was ringing on my dresser again because it was leaking in B3. And then as I'm on my way, they said A3 was leaking. So then I had to come and shut down the water to all of the whole facility. I got called back out because of C2's water line busted. Not their sprinkler, their actual water line to the apartment flooding. So then I had to shut down the water to C3 and C2, and then put a big shut off in C2 to shut the water so I can turn C3's water back on.
At first, when I heard about it, when I thought it was just a sprinkler, I thought, okay, he can fix it. It's gonna be a quick fix. It's what maintenance does. But then when he got here, he sent me videos of the damage, and he had, I don't think he even had boots because he was not expecting it to be so bad, but he was soaked ankle high in water. So then when he told me the ceiling had come down, I knew I had to come in, because it was a matter of where the individual was gonna go. And it was really, really cold.
In the meantime, we had 2 other apartments that were affected, which is a total of 24 individuals. Becky knew that action needed to be taken as soon as possible.
We immediately got together, we went through our emergency preparedness plan, and we had decided that the apartment where the ceiling had fallen, that we were going to evacuate and get them to the safe space that is our day services. Thank goodness we had that building and it was unaffected. So we began to pack up the stuff for the individuals, and they temporarily went to other apartments so that we could have them safe while we were bringing over the stuff, because it was minus 25 degrees wind chill that night.
They had shopping carts trying to load food supplies in the shopping cart, and then we had to push that through snow just to get it to the vehicle and then load the vehicle. And at the time it was Christmas Eve, so the office was closed, so we had really not shoveled our office parking lot because we were not going to be in office for 3 days, so shoveling the office parking lot was not a priority. Park West and other places were a priority. So we were trying to get staff into the CSC through all the snow and ice and cold.
So, how would the individuals handle such a chaotic scene? The cold, the water everywhere, the staff running around.
The individuals just continued on as if nothing had happened in the apartment, which was interesting to us. But their staff kept them safe and secure and minimized the situation for them in a way that I feel like they didn't even really understand what had gone on at that point. Before we got into CAC, they were asking for pop. So although we are in this chaos crisis mode and they're worried about when's my next Diet Dr. Pepper, I consider that a successful transition for them, because if it were me, I would have been a lot more in crisis mode than they seem to be. We also were able to bring their clothes over and launder them since we have those facilities here. So, their personal belongings and clothes remained intact, but their furniture that the facility provides. Everything was destroyed. The appliances, light fixtures, on down to bathrooms and beds were all destroyed. We were able to keep all their comforters because they all pick what they want, and they wanted those to sleep with, so we had to wash them really quickly and get them ready because the folks that lived in that apartment are very routine as well.
If you're wondering, they did secure the pop. When they walked into CAC, our day services building, the individuals were happy because we had all the inflatables from the holiday celebration still plugged in and lit from earlier in the week. They had a ball with that. From there, maintenance, Becky, Tony, and other staff members went back to the apartment to talk. The guys were safe, which was of course the most important immediate need. But now they had to consider the long-term solution. Our day services program was due to be open, so the guys couldn't continue staying there. Their families were called, but none of them were able to get in because of the weather or because they were unable to care for them at home. Essentially, we realized we can't do this all by ourselves.
At that time, we contacted, I don't know how many contractors to come in and try to assist with the restoration. We contacted our insurance company. We contacted county representatives, emergency management, the fire department. We tried the emergency lines for our system, and not one person answered the telephone that night. In fact, even for our 24-hour insurance line, no one returned the call. We sat on hold for over 3 hours. So we decided we were going to put the plan in place for the other apartments. Maintenance worked with our vendor who came in on Christmas Eve and worked very hard to secure the other apartments and get the system back up and running so that those individuals were safe for the night. One person at the county, Lynn Johansson, emailed me on the day after Christmas, even though she wasn't working, and said, "I'm not working today, but I saw the despair in your email and just wanted to tell you thank you for keeping your folks safe and to see if you needed anything." And at that point, I just said, I don't know, other than we're going to have to come up with a long-term plan for housing, and we really don't have an 8-bed option. The guys can't go to a hotel because of their needs, that it would not be good or safe for them. And the hotel that is around the corner that we use for our emergency preparedness plan was also full. Our backup plan for CAC is only temporary for the emergency preparedness, so we had to have something happen that would open up 8 beds, that the guys could be safe, that we could enable having window and door alarms, that we could enable having their safety plan for food enacted as well. And those homes just don't usually exist.
Lynn immediately contacted Creative Housing, and they responded the next morning saying they might have a solution. They just so happened to have an 8-bed facility that had been sitting empty. In fact, it was already set up for 8 individuals, and its location on Darrow Road was just a few minutes' drive from Park West Court Apartments.
Creative Housing jumped through hoops. They not only opened up the house for us, but had to get the fire system reinstated. They had to do multiple repairs. We had to have all the rooms cleaned very thoroughly, so our team went over with Creative Housing and scrubbed. And long story short, 2 days later, the guys were able to move into the 8-bed facility. As part of that, the county also assisted us in getting with DODD and the life safety surveyors who approved the whole overall plan. And in order for them to go to the other location, DODD had to do special approval. The county board had to be of assistance. And ultimately, Creative Housing were the heroes that saved the day for us.
We secured a 3-month lease at the Darrow Road home as a temporary solution until repairs can be performed at Park West. The home fits exactly what we needed for the guys.
That's a really nice house. It's huge. It's like a mason there. Like, there's rooms everywhere, there's bathrooms, like just how it goes. It's just like when you pull up, it looks like a normal house, and you get in there, it's huge. They were actually talking about making it 3 separate apartments, so it's that big.
When we went to the facility, it already had window and door alarms that just had to be activated, which is amazing. It already had the safety plan requirements for their food. So we really just walked into exactly what you would have wanted for the 8 guys by the partnerships from the county and Creative Housing. Without the partnership, without Lynn answering on her holiday, without Eric and Critty at Creative Housing, and without Rich at FSP assisting our team, I really don't know what we would have done because the emergency preparedness plan could help us temporarily, but not long term. Obviously, the insurance is involved through the process of renovations. There were things that were affected, though, like the windows and other things that we didn't have accounted for in the renovation plan. I guess as we go further into the plan, we find out that essentially the entire apartment is going to need renovated. So really the outstanding things are related to that, permitting, and then also the additional expense of running the Dare Road home while Park West is being renovated, and the additional staffing costs that are incurred.
It took everyone to make the most of this crazy situation. The quick actions of internal folks like the DSPs, maintenance staff, and leadership planning helped care for and transport people from point A to point B safely and plan for the short-term and long-term solutions for the people we support. It's really a testament to our staff. There's no telling what would have happened without their decisive actions that night.
The DSPs, they basically adapted really quickly to what was happening. They were able to help get the individuals out. They were able to make sure the individuals' presents and gifts are not messed up, and they took them with them to CSC. So the individuals' lives, they were interrupted by the fact that they had to move, but their Christmas was not messed up because of the storm that happened. So just the dedication and the volunteering, the coming out here, that's not common. I don't take that for granted.
This whole event, I've seen it through the pandemic, but I just keep going back to the amazing DSPs that we have. That evening, Malik, Christine, Xavier were all there keeping the guys safe to the point that they really weren't even affected as far as by the ceilings falling. They were in the living area. They were calm. They kept them safe. They moved them to the other apartments for that, and they made sure that the things that are most important to the guys went with them right away. They assisted with packing food, all their clothes, helping launder them, helping make sure that anything that the guys needed were taken care of that night. And their caring nature, even down to this is his favorite blanket, so this has to go get washed right now, to me shows the significance of the DSP in their lives. And at that point, it was just us. There was nobody else in the world that was coming to help on Christmas Eve. Malik was getting ready to leave his shift. Bengali was getting ready to leave his shift, and they both offered to stay over on Christmas Eve to assist with the emergency. They stayed till 2 or 3 in the morning to assist us. Our DSPs are amazing in that they always sacrifice themselves for others. Additionally, during that time, the nurses also had to bring all of the med cards, all of the medical supplies and everything needed to the new location at CAC, and then also to the home and get it set up at Dare Road. Pascaline and the night nurses were essential in assisting in the emergency as well to make sure all their medical needs were still happening even at the other locations, and they continue to drive back and forth each day to provide those needed supports.
Shane and Michael were also here all night, and also on Christmas Day they came out just to look and make sure nothing else was being affected. So they sacrificed time with their families to be here.
Sometimes the work we do is the day-to-day tasks, like personal care and companionship. But as we saw last Christmas Eve, it can also be showing up to do your part even under the most difficult circumstances. While challenges will always remain in our field, we can take pride in the fact that we work with people who strive to inspire life journeys every day. We couldn't have had a successful outcome without the internal and external folks working so hard to figuratively and literally open doors for the individuals we support. Thank you for listening to the first edition of the Open Door Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to future episodes, which will cover a wide range of topics and issues surrounding the developmental disabilities field. If you're interested in learning more about Open Door, including ways to donate or volunteer, check out our website at opendoorcolumbus.org and follow us on your favorite social media platforms at Open Door CBUS. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas for future podcast episodes, feel free to email them to us at information@opendoorcolumbus.org. I'm Andrew Stinson, and until next time, keep opening doors.